Baby, watch closely now. Listen without blinking, please. I am not joking. This is not drama. This is confession time. Straight from my chest, hidden behind silence, smiling while burning. You never noticed, but I always watched. Every single movement, every careless smile, every sudden distance, every changed tone, every unread message, every delayed reply. I felt it growing, like quiet poison, slow inside veins. Jealousy learned patience. It waited silently there, smiled beside love, pretended to protect, but wanted control. I never admitted this, not to myself, not to you. I called it love. I named it care. I disguised fear as deep concern, but truth survived. Truth always survives. So hear me now, without interruption, please, because this moment changes everything forever. You think jealousy screams, you think it shouts, you think it accuses. No, baby, listen. Real jealousy whispers, it smiles politely, it waits strategically, it learns your patterns, it memorizes your days, it counts your laughs, it counts your friends, especially those names I pretended ignoring, but memorized deeply. I knew their timings, I knew their jokes. I hated their comfort. They felt too close, closer than allowed, closer than I admitted, and that scared me. Fear feeds jealousy. Jealousy feeds obsession. Obsession feeds silence. Silence feeds destruction. I became quiet watcher, studying your happiness, wondering my position, questioning my value. Am I enough? Do I matter? Or am I temporary? You never reassured, not because cruel, but because unaware. And that hurt worse, because you didn't know what you were doing. You lived freely, while I calculated every emotional distance, every unseen wall. You laughed elsewhere, I smiled here, but inside shaking, hands tied emotionally. I compared constantly, my love against theirs, my presence against absence, my loyalty against attention, and jealousy kept notes. Detailed, ruthless notes. It told me lies. It showed selective scenes. It cropped the truth, left only triggers, a laugh without context, a name without meaning, a smile without me, and my mind filled every blank violently. That's how jealousy wins, not by facts, but by imagination. You never cheated, let me be clear. You never betrayed. But jealousy doesn't need betrayal, it only needs doubt. And doubt was everywhere, in unread silences, in changed routines, in growing independence. You became stronger, more confident, glowing, and instead celebrating. I felt replaceable. I feared being outdated, like old memory, like expired feeling. I didn't say this. I acted normal, but normal was mask. Behind it, panic. Behind it, storms. I checked myself constantly. Why am I threatened? Why am I shrinking? Why am I angry at people smiling? Why does love hurt when it should heal? Jealousy answered softly, because you care deeply, because you love purely, because you fear losing, and I believed it. I trusted jealousy like trusted friend, but it wasn't friend. It was mirror distortion, showing worst reflections. I started testing you, small emotional experiments, silence to provoke, distance to observe, cold replies intentionally, watching your reaction. Did you chase me? Did you question me? Did you notice absence? And when you didn't, jealousy screamed internally, see, you don't matter. See, you are replaceable. See, they see first. And that broke me, because expectations unspoken are emotional landmines. You never agreed to those tests, yet I punished you for failing imaginary exams. That's unfair truth, hard but necessary. I became unfair lover, demanding reassurance silently, refusing communication openly. I wanted you worried the way I worried. I wanted you jealous the way I burned. But love doesn't compete. Love doesn't calculate. Love communicates clearly, and I failed there. I admit it now. This confession matters, because people watching think jealousy is cute, think jealousy proves love. No, listen carefully. Jealousy untreated becomes poison. It corrodes trust. It erodes intimacy. It rewrites reality until love feels unsafe. I didn't want that, but I allowed it by staying silent, by avoiding vulnerability, by fearing rejection instead of risking honesty. So baby, hear this. I was jealous, not because you wrong, but because I was scared. Scared of abandonment, scared of invisibility, scared of being optional, scared you'd outgrow me and leave quietly, without dramatic goodbye. That fear controlled me more than love did, and that is dangerous, because fear never protects. It only cages hearts. I don't want cage. I want connection. I want honesty, even if painful, even if risky, because losing you honestly is better than keeping through silent control. This is part one, not closure yet, just foundation laid, truth finally spoken. If you felt distance, if you felt tension, if you felt confusion, now you know. It wasn't indifference, it was insecurity, dressed as strength, masked as calm. I'm learning now, unlearning toxic patterns, choosing community, cation bravely over silent jealousy. But this journey continues, because healing isn't instant. Trust rebuilds slowly, like, baby, stay with me. Do not skip now. This part matters more than before, because now honesty stops being emotional and starts becoming painfully responsible truth. I confessed jealousy. Now I confess damage. Damage I caused without touching you. without yelling loudly, without dramatic scenes, just quiet pressure, slow emotional suffocation. I made you smaller by needing reassurance. Every single moment, I drained your joy with silent expectations you never accepted, but somehow carried because you cared deeply. I watched your freedom like thread approaching. Instead of beauty blooming, I measured your smiles. Instead of sharing them, I counted your time. Instead of trusting love, that was my failure. Jealousy evolved slowly, from fear to habit, from habit to identity. I didn't notice change until I became someone I hated, someone suspicious constantly, someone emotionally controlling. Control doesn't shout, it whispers gently. It asks politely, but expects obedience. It pretends protection, but demands restriction. I did that silently, and I am sorry. I limited your joy. By needing importance, I competed with air, with people harmless, with moments unrelated to romance or love. That was unfair, unjustifiable, completely wrong. You never belonged to my insecurities. You never owed constant emotional proof. Love is not prison. Love is permission to grow freely without fear monitored. I turned love into performance test without your consent. I judged reactions instead of intentions. I assumed endings instead of asking questions. That is toxic truth. And here accountability means no excuses, no childhood blaming, no trauma justification. Pain explains behavior, but never excuses harm. I harmed emotionally, even if unintentionally. I stole your peace. With my silence, you felt tension, but didn't know source. You questioned yourself, wondered what changed, when truth was me, fighting unseen demons. That guilt stays heavy, because love deserves safety, not confusion clouds, not walking carefully, not second-guessing smiles, not shrinking brightness to protect fragile ego. I regret that deeply. I should have spoken when fear appeared. I should have said, I feel scared. Instead, I performed cold confidence act that slowly poisoned us. From inside, quietly, you probably noticed energy felt different, less playful warmth, more careful conversations. That was jealousy breathing through controlled behavior, through emotional withholding, through unspoken resentment. I want you knowing this confession isn't manipulation, not sympathy seeking, not damage control attempt. It's mirror held up to my worst parts, parts I'm changing, parts I refuse repeating, because loving someone means allowing uncertainty, means risking heartbreak, means trusting choice daily, not forcing loyalty, not monitoring happiness, not fearing replacement constantly. That's ownership illusion. I confused intensity with depth of love. I confused obsession with emotional investment, but obsession consumes. Love nourishes growth. One cages hearts, other sets free. I don't want cage, I want chosen presence. Chosen every morning, not guilt-driven staying, not fear-based attach me, NT, but genuine desire that requires self-work, hard, uncomfortable self-work. So here promise begins, not dramatic vows, but behavioral change. I will speak fear before it mutates jealousy. I will ask questions instead of assuming endings. I will listen fully. I will celebrate independence, not compete with it. I will respect boundaries, even when triggered. I will choose trust over imagination storms. Even when anxiety screams, I will pause, respond. And if one day you choose leaving, I won't control exit. I won't manipulate tears. I'll grieve honestly, but respect decision. Because love without freedom is emotional hostage taking. This is growth speaking, not perfect version yet. Healing is process, with relapses possible. But awareness exists now, and accountability anchors me. I am responsible for maintaining this growth. If you felt unseen, this is me seeing you. If you felt blamed, this is me owning blame. If you felt tired, this is me understanding why. If you stayed silent, this is me listening now. And if audience listening feels exposed by this, then hear warning clearly. Unchecked jealousy destroys quietly. Before explosions occur, before breakups announced, before love turns resentment, please address it early. Jealousy isn't romantic, it's unresolved fear, needing compassion inward, not control outward. Heal yourself first, before demanding reassurance from someone innocent of your inner wars. This confession ends not with dramatic twist, but with grounded clarity. I was jealous excessively. I hurt someone unintentionally. I am changing intentionally, and change requires consistency, not just emotional speeches. Part 3 awaits, where actions replace words, where boundaries tested, where trust rebuilt slowly. If you're still here, then maybe healing possible. Because honesty opened door, now responsibility must walk. Stay if you choose, leave if needed, be